try to continue until 4:30 today, so it will be a longer physics class, unlike before. Okay. Are we all here? Are we all here? Come on, a roll call is going on. Answer. Good afternoon to you all. What doubt did you ask, man? In WhatsApp, I sent yesterday. What was that? Is it about the x? Is it about the integral, Balmurugan? Okay. Okay, listen. Someone asked a doubt yesterday. We'll just clarify that doubt now. Same doubt others may also have. So here it is. See, I'll start with something else though. See, we know that a plus b whole squared is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Is it not? This is an algebraic identity. True for all values of a and b. Now a and b are just two variables here. I can have anything instead of a and b and still the expansion would still be the same, is it not? So if I say x plus z whole square, well, you should not wonder where did a and b go, right? It is similar to that only. X square plus 2xz plus z square. Isn't that how we do? Now, if integral of 1 by a into dx gives you x by a plus c, this is called integration constant. This is called integral. Okay. This is the integrand, the function that we are integrating. This is called the integration variable. Okay. A is a constant. So if integral of 1 by a dx is equal to x by a plus c, then integral of 1 by a into dq should be q by a plus c. That's all. That's all, Balamurgan. Like, where did x go? Such questions should not come. Understood? The integration variable here is dq. So that is what will reflect here also. Okay, fine. Parallax method is used to measure planets, right? Distance of planets, diameter of planets. Yes, correct. Sir, can you say how parallax method is used to measure planets? I think we saw about that yesterday or day before yesterday. I'm not sure. I think yesterday we saw. We had already explained how parallax method. In fact, that was even from the previous chapter. So it was a repetition yesterday. Harit, we already saw how parallax method is used to measure distance of planets. Maybe if you have a textbook or a reference book, please go check it out. That will give you a better idea. Okay. Devdarshan, are you teaching integration today? No, not in my plan. It was just a doubt clarified. That's all. Malam Murugan, d theta gives theta. Of course, yes. See, what I'm trying to say is if integral of x into dx is equal to x square by 2 plus c. If it is integral of q dq, it would be q square by 2 plus c. That's all. Okay. And this c and this c may not be equal also. Not necessarily equal. They could be equal, they may not be equal. That's a arbitrary constant. No, we are not doing a differentiation or integration now. This was just a doubt clarifying thing. Can you prove derivative of sin x? Japeth, you can find derivative of sin x everywhere. In textbook you can find it. In H.C. Verma you will find it. Just go Google it, you will find it. Or did you already look at the proof and you did not understand? How is it, Japit? Okay. See, by definition of derivative, f dash of x is nothing but f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h as h tends to 0. H tends to 0 means h is extremely small, very close and approaching to 0. Okay. Now that is the definition of derivative. So if you are saying f of x is equal to sin x, then that would mean f of x plus h would be sin of x plus h. So therefore f dash of x is equal to sin of x plus h, isn't it? Sin of x plus h expansion is sin x cos h plus cos x sin h. This is f of x plus h. And then you have minus f of x. So minus f of x would be minus sin x. The whole thing divided by h. By definition of f dash of x is equal to this whole thing is f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h as h tends to 0. As h tends to 0 means h is so small that it's almost 0. If it is almost 0, you can try to substitute it as 0 itself. It is not 0 actually. H is only tending to become 0. It is not yet 0. But you can try to see what the function becomes by substituting 0 for h. Okay. See, if you put 0 for h in this function, this cos h becomes 1. Cos 0 is 1. No? If you substitute 0 for h, this cos h becomes 1. So sin x into 1 becomes sin x. That sin x term and minus sin x term get cancelled. The sin x term minus sin x term get cancelled. So you get f dash of x is equal to what is remaining now? Cos x into sin h divided by h as h tends to 0. Now you may ask, why did I not substitute h equals 0 here? Why did I not substitute h equals 0 here? If I substitute h equals 0 here, the numerator becomes 0. The denominator also becomes 0. 0 by 0 division is not indefinite. Okay. It is there are some indiscriminate forms or something. I mean, there is some name for that. You may not be able to judge what exactly is 0 by 0. See, if you say 10 divided by 5, what does 10 divided by 5 mean? How would you say, for example, you have 10 chocolates. How would you equally distribute those 10 chocolates to 5 different people? Say, for example, you say 2 chocolates each. How do I verify whether the division is complete or not? I have to go to each person, ask if they got 2 chocolates each. So each of them will say yes, yes, yes. So each of them got 2 chocolates. And that is not the completion. Here, the complete step would be, the last step would be, you will come back to me and ask if you have any division, if you have any chocolates left. So I have given 10 chocolates to 5 people, 2 each, and I have nothing left. Only after determining nothing is left, then you say the division is complete. Understood? Say, for example, 10 divided by 0. What will this mean? I have 10 chocolates. To how many people can I distribute them equally such that each person gets 0? How can you answer that question? I can say any number. Say, for example, I said 15 people. You will go to 15 people and ask, did you get 0 chocolates? Did you get 0 chocolates? They will all say yes. But is the division complete? No, you'll come back to me and ask if you have any chocolates left. Yes, I have everything left. I have all 10 left. Division is not yet complete. This division can never be completed. This is what is called as infinity. This is called infinite. This is finite. Okay. What is 0 by 0? 0 by 0 means what? You have no chocolates at all with you. You have no chocolates. So how many people can you distribute them equally such that each person gets 0? You understand the question? You have 0 chocolates. So how many people can you distribute them equally so that each person gets 0? What will you say? Say, for example, you say 6 people. So you will go to 6 people and ask, did you get 0? Did you get 0? You'll get tick marks. And you will come back to me and ask if you have anything left. No, I have nothing, no chocolate left. I have 0 also. So that does sound like division is complete, no? So you cannot say this is infinity. 0 by 0 is not infinity. You should not say, right? If you say 0 by 0 is not defined, wrong. Similarly, if you say 0 by 0 is defined, then also it is wrong. Okay, 0 by 0 is neither finite nor infinite. Okay, we just don't know the value of 0 by 0 yet. That's all. It takes a value if we do something about it. It takes a value if you do something about it. Say, for example, if you have x square minus 4 divided by x minus 2. Okay, if you try to substitute x equal to 2 in this, what do you get? If you try to substitute x equal to 2 in that function, what do you get? 2 square is 4, 4 minus 4 is 0, divided by 2 minus 2, 0. So you will get 0 by 0 form. And by looking at that, you should not say the answer is infinity, or you should not say the answer is 0. Understood? What should I do? Something is making both the numerator and denominator zeros here. 0 by 0 is a indiscriminate form. Indeterminate forms. Okay, I think it is called indeterminate. Indeterminate or indeterminate form. Okay, we just don't know its value yet. We can do something about the function that may actually reveal the value. What can we do here? The numerator I can factorize as x plus 2 into x minus 2. The denominator also becomes x minus 2. And if I put x equal to 2 in this is what becomes 0 and this is what becomes 0. But if I say x is only tending to 2, I'm not saying x equal to 2 now. If I am only saying x is tending to 2, if x is only tending to 2, x has not become 2 yet. If x is not 2, then x minus 2 is not 0. Then I can cancel them. If x minus 2 is not 0, then I can cancel them. You cannot cancel zeros. That's like division by 0. That is not allowed. That is meaningless. Okay. So x minus 2 now can be cancelled. So this function kind of changes to simply x plus 2. Now in this I will substitute x is equal to 2. It's almost 2. So what will this tend to? X plus 2 when x equal to 2 tends to 4. Now you kind of have a value. Is it not? This concept is what is called as limit. Or that value that you find there is what is called as limiting value. Okay, so you will read that, you will study that in limits chapter in mathematics. For now, do not worry about it a lot, but you will. It is going to be something that will become very easy for you after reading, after studying, after preparing in limits. Okay, so yes, Sudarshan, physics class get late many times. Bad luck. I don't think we came late ever. Okay, this was just not my class. I'm substituting for somebody else. Physics class was never late, Sudarshan. Anyway, here, coming back to this, f dash of x is equal to cos x into sin h by h as h tends to 0. If you substitute h equals 0, it will become 0 by 0. So we should not substitute h equals 0 here now. So what I do? What can you do is this. Sin h, there is an expansion called h minus h cube by 3 factorial plus h power 5 by 5 factorial minus and so on. There is an infinite series expansion for sin h like this. Okay, when h tends to 0, meaning h is very, very small, then all higher powers of x all tend to become 0, which means sin h gets approximated very closely to 0, very closely to h. When h is very close to 0, sin h is also very close to 0. They are both so close that they are close to each other. Are you able to understand? When h is very close to 0, sin h is also very close to 0, and therefore sin h is very close to be equal to h itself. If sin h is approximately equal to h, I can cancel them both, and you get the answer as cos x. This is the derivative of sin x. Okay. Okay, Shailesh asks, logarithmic derivatives is included for the test on Sunday or not, sir? I don't know. I just said calculus. Whatever has been taught to you in calculus will be there for the exam. All right, so I guess I guess that's the doubts and all that. We'll move on. Okay. We'll move on with our vectors concepts. We'll move on with our vectors concept. Did we already see resolution of vectors? Dev what is the use of differentiating sin x? I guess it's not something that you can ask here. It will take a lot of time. I can sit with you for 2 hours and explain it to you, but not know Dev Darshan. For you, a simple reason for differentiating sin x would be because it will be asked in exam and you are needed to know it. So just do it. That's all. Don't worry about why and all that right now. Okay? Or read from a good textbook. Balmurugan, definition of resolution is what we saw it. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So in vectors, we saw representation of vectors already. How to diagrammatically represent vectors. How to name a vector and all that. So representation of vectors, unit vectors, magnitude of vectors, how to find a unit vector from magnitude vector, like a cap is equal to a bar by magnitude of a bar. Such things we have spoken already. And then we saw addition of vectors, in which we also saw angle between vectors. And then we saw scalar multiplied to a vector. What happens if the scalar is multiplied to a vector? That we saw. Okay. So the resultant, addition of vectors, we saw resultant's magnitude and direction. So all these things we have already covered. In this class, we will do resolution of vectors, and we will save the product of vectors for later. Let us not do product of vectors now. We'll only do resolution of vectors and some numericals we'll do. Okay. That is the agenda for today's class. These two. Okay. So all right. So we'll start with resolution of vectors. What is resolution? Yesterday we already started about it, I think. Resolution necessarily means splitting a vector as a sum of several vectors. Okay, and we saw clearly that resolution of a vector can be done in an infinite number of ways. Out of them, if you want to resolve a vector into only two components, even that can be done in infinitely many ways. You just have to draw parallelograms. Or if you want to draw a particular case of parallelogram, that is a rectangle, that also you can do infinite number of ways. Is not? So we restrict ourselves like this. We try to resolve a vector. We always try to resolve a vector into two perpendicular components. The components are perpendicular to each other. Two perpendicular components, in which one of them is along a given line of action. One of those vectors must be along the given line of action. Okay, so what does it mean? Say, for example, I have a vector a bar and its magnitude is, let us say, a, and I have a random line from L. Okay, I want to resolve the vector a bar into two components such that those two components are perpendicular to each other, and one of the components must be along the L line. Obviously, the other will be perpendicular to the line L. So for that, what do I do? For that, what I do is I'll assume there is a lot of light coming from infinity. Okay, perpendicular to this line L, I'll assume that a lot of light is falling on the surface L, the line L. If a lot of light falls like this, perpendicularly, this is perpendicular. The shadow of the vector on the line L is called the component of A along L. This shadow is what is called as component of A along line L. This is only a concept. This is only a way of explaining it. So don't just don't take it that way directly. Okay. So if this is a line L, and if this is a vector b bar whose magnitude is b units. What are the two perpendicular components of b bar in such a way that one of them is along L and the other is perpendicular to L? What do? From the tip of, see, make sure that one end of the vector is on the line. Okay, make sure that one end of the vector is on the line. And from the other end of the vector, drop a perpendicular onto the line. From the other end of the vector, drop a perpendicular onto the line. Now, this foot of the perpendicular, they call it. This point is foot of the perpendicular. So, from this point to the foot of the perpendicular, this length is called the component or the projection. Okay, it's called component or projection of B bar on L. And this vertical, this perpendicular component here is called the component of B bar, which is perpendicular to L. Okay, what's happening here in chat? The voice is fading as you talk. Maybe I am talking a little less. I'll make sure I'll. Thank you for letting me know. So don't worry. Okay, so these are the components. How to calculate that component? How to find the value of the component? Say, for example, if this angle is theta, coming back to A example, okay, the vector A bar makes an angle theta with the line L. Then how do I find component of A bar along L? Let us say this component is X and this component is Y. Okay, how do I find X and Y? Using basic trigonometry, this length is nothing but A and this angle is theta. X is adjacent side to theta. So X by A is equal to cos theta. Therefore, X becomes A times cos theta. Similarly, using opposite side, Y by A is equal to sin theta. Therefore, Y becomes A into sin theta. That is how you find components of vector. If a vector of magnitude A makes an angle theta with a line L, then the component of the vector along the line is given by A cos theta. The component of the vector perpendicular to the line is equal to A sin theta. Okay. So if this angle is alpha here, this component will be B cos alpha. This component would be B sin alpha. Okay. Now, based on this, I'll ask questions. You please let me know. You please tell me. Just type the answers in the book, in the chat. Okay. Now, this is a horizontal line. Let us say x-axis. Okay. Negative x-axis. This is origin. There is a vector like this, 10 units of vector. Let us say it's a vector of magnitude 10 units. Let us say this angle is 60 degrees. Okay, so what is x component of the vector? What is x component of the vector? X component means component of the vector on the x-axis or along x-axis. Okay, so to find component of the, basically I have to draw a rectangle having this as diagonal. Okay, but basically I have to draw a rectangle having that as a diagonal. That can be done in many ways, but one of the sides of the rectangle must be on x-axis. That is a condition here. So this is one side. If this is diagonal, then this must be the other side, no, perpendicularly. So this is the complete rectangle, of course. Now you know this is 10, this is 60 degree. Then you are supposed to find this component. This is the x component. You can call this as y component because it is perpendicular to x. Just for the reason. What will be the answer? X component would be equal to, how do you calculate? X by 10 is equal to cos 60 degree, which is equal to 1 by 2. Therefore, x is equal to 10 by 2. That is equal to 5 units. So x component of that vector is 5 units. Not 5 root 3, not 5 root 2, not 5 root 2, not 5 I. I have never told you what is I yet. So do not worry about that, Vijay Rubesh. We'll deal with it later. Second one. This is a Cartesian coordinate system. Okay. Now there is a vector like this of magnitude 20 units. This is a vector of magnitude 20 units. And if I draw a vertical line parallel to y-axis, this angle here seems to be 60 degree. This angle here seems to be 60 degree. then its x component is equal to dash, its y component is equal to dash. Both you have to tell me. Okay, tell the answer as dash comma dash. That's right answer like that. Okay, x component comma y component, like that you answer. Girish, check your answer, please. Others are quite right. Vetrivel, check your answer. Siddharth, check your answer. Sudarshan, check your answer. Kaushik Babu, what component is that? You only gave one answer. X component is the component of that vector along x-axis. Y component is the component of that vector along y-axis. See, this is one end, no? So what I'll do, I'll try to draw a line parallel to x-axis through this point and a line parallel to y-axis through that point. So it's already drawn anyway, right? Now, if I complete a rectangle having this as diagonal, 20 as diagonal, if I complete a rectangle using 20 as diagonal and these two perpendicular sides as the adjacent sides of the rectangle, then you will get the components. Okay. So if I draw the perpendicular from here, this is what is called as x component. This is what is called as y component. Kokilan, why are you getting 9 root 3 and 9? Okay, good. So x component would be what now? See, the angle 60 degree is given on the other side, or the vector is making 60 degree angle with y axis, not x axis. So y component would be 20 into cos 60 degree. X component would be 20 sin 60 degree. Did you understand why cos 60 degree was put for y component now? Okay, did you understand why cos 60 degree used for calculating y component now? Because the vector is making 60 degree with y axis. Understood or not? So this would be 10 units y component. And this would be 10 root 3 units x component. Okay. So these are how you calculate the components basically. One more. So that is an inclined plane on which there is a block of mass m. So it has its weight acting on it. Its weight is given by mg. Okay. Now, this line here, no, the thicker line that I am drawing, this line here is called incline. That line is called incline. Now tell me, what is the component of mg along the incline? What is the component of mg along the incline? Nagarjun, please check your answer, the previous question. Okay, did you understand the question? There is a block of mass m on an inclined plane of inclination theta, So it will be experiencing a gravitational force of m into g, which is called its weight. So not, so its weight is mg acting vertically downwards. But I want you to find what is the component of mg along the incline. Along the incline, what is the component? Okay, so to be able to calculate to be able to find what is the component of mg along the incline, you need to know what angle does mg make with the incline. So first of all, do some geometry, right? Do some geometry and calculate what angle does mg make with the incline. First find that. Girish, check your answer. Atish is right. Japit is right. Satvika is right. Kaushik, why sin 30 degree? Decide what is the angle made by mg with the incline. Vidushan is right. Am I being audible now? Can you hear me now? What is the angle made by? What is the angle made by mg with incline? First decide this. After you decide this, it is easy to calculate this. Situation is correct. Why is it 90, Viju? Viju, why do you think it is 90? See, man, this is mg, okay? Mg is vertically downwards. Mg is vertical. Incline is what? Incline is this line, blue color line, you see. That line is mg. Sorry, incline. Incline is this line. I'm asking you to find the angle between mg and incline. So this is the angle you are supposed to find. What angle is that? It's a very simple thing in geometry. Kaushik, Babu, and some others. You are still answering 30, 60 and all that. Where are you finding 30, 60 here? Vignesh, why are you saying 45? Where is 45 here? I have only given this angle as theta. Okay? Please see this. So mg is vertically downwards. Incline is this line. Angle made by mg with incline is this angle. So if you try to, draw an imaginary diagram, complete a right angle triangle like this, you know that this is theta. Then this will be what? 90 degree minus theta. That's all. So what is angle made by mg with incline? 90 degree minus theta. So if angle made by mg with incline is 90 degree minus theta, then component of mg along the incline would be mg into cos of 90 degree minus theta. Okay. Understood or not? The previous slide here, if B made an angle alpha with the line L, then component of B along L is B cos alpha. Similarly, if mg made an angle 90 degree minus theta with the incline, then component of mg along the incline would be mg into cos of 90 degree minus theta. What is cos of 90 degree minus theta? Nothing but sin theta. So mg sin theta is the component of force, component of mg along the incline. Understood or not? The component of mg along the incline is mg sin theta. Okay, so tell me, will mg sin theta be directed down the incline or up the incline? Component of mg along the incline is mg sin theta. Will it be directed down the incline or up the incline? Yeah. So if this is the incline, the block is like this. Mg force is acting like this. Mg is the weight of the object acting vertically downwards. This is theta. We wanted to find the component of mg along the incline. So along this line, I have to find the component of mg. So what do? I have to make sure that one end of mg is on the line. Done. I have to make sure that a perpendicular is dropped from the other end to the line. How do I do that? From here, I have to drop a perpendicular. Perpendicular is drawn. Okay, good. Now this value here, this side, this amount here is called as component of mg along the incline. How much will be that? See, this is mg. If this is theta, this angle is 90 degree minus theta. We already saw that. So this side will be adjacent side to 90 degree minus theta. So it will be mg into cos of 90 degree minus theta. Okay. Now in what direction will it be? Look at the triangle. Look at the right angle triangle here. If you complete a rectangle also, this is how you have to draw it. This is a rectangle, no? So if this is a diagonal, the side of the rectangle along the incline is this way. So it must be down the incline, not up the incline. Understood? How sine came, sir? Cos of 90 degree minus theta is sine theta. Kaushik Babu. Cos of 90 degree minus theta is sine theta. Tarun Kumar asks, I'm not able to understand where to use cos and where to use sine. If you are finding a component, see, look at this question, second question. Look at second question. This vector has a magnitude 20. And you know it makes an angle 60 degree with this line, vertical line, y-axis. So if you find component of 20 along y-axis, because 60 degree this y-axis is adjacent side. So use cos. Okay. So that is it. We'll do more questions on this. Components. Important to understand this. There is no point in studying vectors if you can't understand vectors, if you can't understand resolution. Okay, components. Okay, I'll give you more questions. Say, for example, to a rigid support, a pendulum is hung and it is being swung. There is a pendulum and it is swinging. At a certain moment, the pendulum is here. This angle is theta. Okay, whereas the pendulum is swinging at a certain instant, at a certain moment, the pendulum is here. The bob is here at the position A. Okay. Now, because it is tied with a string, there is a tension force that acts in the string. The force is called tension P. Don't worry about those forces. We will read more about them in forces chapter. But just know that there is a vector force of magnitude T here. Now tell me, what is the vertical component of P? Equal to dash. Horizontal component of P equal to dash. Niranjan, if you have a doubt, please ask me on WhatsApp. Such a big doubt, I'll not be able to reproduce here. Niranjan, please post that question to me on WhatsApp. That is better. Okay, Mr. Ashikar. Siddharth, my number, you should know by now. Array. I mean, I think I posted it to one person separately, but anyway, I think you can all see it on the screen, the number. Siddharth? Kaushik Babu, no break. You cannot, huh? Okay, wait. Array. Got the number? Okay, components. Tell me. Fourth question. Imagine that there is a force P T is the force. T is the magnitude of the force. Imagine that there is a force like that. Its direction is in such a way that it makes an angle theta with the vertical. Okay, which means it can be resolved into two parts. That force can be split into two parts, a vertical force and a horizontal force. I'm asking you what part of the force is along the vertical, what part of the force is along the horizontal. So the force is T. So what do? I make sure that one point is on the vertical. If I want to find vertical component, everyone please listen. If I want to find vertical component, I'll make sure whatever vector I am resolving, I'll make sure one point, initial point of the vector is on the vertical. See, there is no vertical line drawn here. So there is an initial point. No? So I will draw a vertical line here, imaginary vertical line. Okay, let me draw a vertical line here. Now, to be able to calculate vertical component of T, I need to know what angle does T make with vertical. Okay, if this angle is theta, then this angle is also theta only, no? Because this is vertical, this is also vertical, so they are parallel, and the string here, this one, is basically the transversal, and this theta and this theta, these two angles are interior alternate angles, I think. Okay, so theta. Understood? So to find vertical component of T, we need to know the angle made by T with the vertical. Done. Theta. If you know T makes an angle theta with the vertical, then the vertical component is given by T into cos theta. That's all. Done. Finished. As simple as that. How do I find horizontal component of T? How do I find horizontal component of T? Use the same logic. How do I find horizontal component? T force order, I'll draw a horizontal line near T such that one point of T is on the horizontal. Then you see what angle does T make with the horizontal, this angle. If this is theta, then this must be 90 degree minus theta. Don't ask me how. Then horizontal component, if T makes 90 degree minus theta with horizontal, then horizontal component of T is T into cos of 90 degree minus theta. That would be T sin theta, like that. It's not 90 degree plus theta, it is 90 degree minus theta. Will it be more than 90 or less than 90? Riju. Sudarshan and others, see, for whoever it is not easy to understand where to use cos and where to use sine, I am explaining a method where you can use both. Cos only always. See, I just explained to you how to use only cos. Try to understand that, no? Good. Good, Sudarshan. Okay. If you cannot distinguish between where to use cos or where to use sine, it is okay. Use cos only always. But how to use cos, you understand. Okay. When you are finding the vertical component of T, see what angle T makes with the vertical and T into cos of that angle. That's all. Horizontal component of T, see what angle T makes with the horizontal, and then say T into cos of that angle. That's all. Finished. Okay. Good. Very good. Fine. So these are some of the situations where we may have to do or perform components like resolution of a vector. Okay. Then one more. Now we look at the directions of this resultant resolution components. This is y and this is x. Let us say a vector is directed this way as shown. This vector is c bar. Magnitude of c bar is 15 units. Okay, and the vector c bar seems to make an angle 45 degree. Vector c bar seems to make an angle 45 degree with a line parallel to x-axis. Okay, all this is given. What is x component? What is y component? Rajesh, if you understood where to use sine, where to use cos, please use it. No problem at all. I was explaining for some of us who could not understand that distinction. Okay. Just tell the answer for the fifth question. X component is equal to y component equal to what? So what do? The line is parallel to x-axis, right? The vector is making an angle 45 degree with that line. So to find x component, you have to know the angle made by the vector with x-axis or any line parallel to x-axis, which is 45 degree. So answer will be 15 into cos of 45 degree. Similarly, y component will be 15 into sine of 45 degree. Or you could use cos of 90 degree minus 45 degree. Both will be same only anyway for this particular question. So this is how much? This is equal to 15 by root 2. This is also equal to 15 by root 2. Good. So these are the components. But I actually need to know what is the direction of these components. X component is along this line, but directed negatively. Because if you complete a rectangle of which this is a diagonal, then one side will be this way and the other side will be this way. That is when the triangle law will be agreed upon, obeyed, is it not? The triangle law will be obeyed only if the vectors are directed like this, which means x component is 15 by root 2 along negative x-axis. Y component is also 15 by root 2 along negative y-axis. Get it? It is not 15 root 2 wins. It is not 15 root 2, it is 15 by root 2. Maybe it's a typo. Amreen, it's not 7.5. 7.5 is 15 by 2. No. This is 15 by root 2, which is 7.5 root 2. Yeah, correct. Okay, so yeah. Understood now? Did you understand the directions here? That is again important. Did you understand the directions? Okay, so we'll do one thing. The time is now exactly 3:30. The time is exactly 3:30 p.m. Okay, we'll have a 5-minute break, not a 10-minute break. Maybe just go relieve yourself, drink water, and come back again. That's all. No longer breaks. It's been what, a 40-minute class? 40-minute class, you need a break already. Yeah. 5-minute break. After 5 minutes, I will start. Whether you have all started like attending or not. Remember that. Why? Break. Yes, Rajshekar sir, if you wish, you can talk now. Shall I make you the host? Done.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Dear students, your chemistry sir has given one assignment for all 11th standard students. So it will be uploaded in your stg.learnity.com today evening. So you have to download that PDF file and you should complete your homework. So try to write the answers in a neat paper and then take the photo and convert that image into PDF format and upload it in the same site itself. So link will be given in the stg.learnity.com itself. So once again, I will repeat to you. Your chemistry sir has given one assignments for everyone from the topic oxidation and reduction. So you have to download that PDF file from your stg.learnity.com. I think today around 6 o'clock it will be uploaded in your stg.learnity.com. So download it and write the answers for that Most of the answers you have to search in the internet, and sir has mentioned about it in the paper itself. And you have to write the answers in a very neat paper, and then take the image of it and convert it into PDF and upload that file in the same site itself, vestige.learnity.com itself. Link will be given. If you have any doubt regarding to that, you can clarify your doubt with your coordinator. So that's all. Thank you. Date of submission, you have to complete that worksheets before Monday. So before coming Monday, you have to complete it and submit it without fail. Okay, so try to find out the answers and then send it. So we will take the attendance also, how many of them completed or not. So everyone take it as very serious one and then finish it off. Thank you. Sir? Praveen sir? Okay, you can go for your break now.
Please change me as host.
Yes, sir. I'll change as your host.
Yeah.
Sir, I changed you as a host, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'm muting everybody now.
Sorry, sir.
I'm muting everybody.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Do you want to take over or shall I continue, sir?
No, I'll take over, no problem. This is the
sure.
NEET class or the JE class?